Are you a guitar player who is interested in entering the recording world? Well, today I am going to show you 3 different types of recording setups at different budgets, and most importantly, the results that you can expect to achieve from each of them. You know, for guitar players, there is an absolute plethora of different ways that you can acquire different tones, and a zillion, even more gear that you can use to do so. And when you really decide to take a dive into the recording world for the first time, like I have done here over the last year or so, it can become pretty overwhelming, and there are a zillion different ways to record your audio. Whether you're wanting to just lay down get a couple of ideas down, whether you're wanting to do full tracks, demos for a record label, or for instance, if you're wanting to get into recording videos, say for instance YouTube. This video is kind of what I have learned in recording audio over the last almost 4 years now. And there's 3 different methods, 3 different price points that I have used to record my audio that you have seen on my videos, for those of you that have been watching this channel for a long time. So here's what I'm going to do. First we are going to record into the Tascam DR40 handheld recorder. And this one's got a couple of XLR 1/4-inch combo jacks on it. It's technically, they advertise it technically as a 4-channel, even though each one of these is what they consider a channel, and they tend to operate, it's really 2 channels plus a third stereo channel, really. But I'm going to record a short track, and I'm just doing guitars and drums, and not going to mess with any kind of mixing or effects or anything like that with any of these, because I want to be able to compare the raw recording quality of each. So first, we are going to start with the Tascam DR40, as I mentioned. Then we're also going to record something similar into the Tascam Tascam DP24, the 24-track recorder that I still use to this day, and finally record the same thing going into the Focusrite 2i2 USB audio interface, and using a DAW. In this case, it's going to be Persona Studio One. Let's check them all out side by side, one after another, and see how they all sound. Just very, very simple, bare bones, just so we can get an idea of the differences between the 3. Just one guitar track and virtual drums. I'm actually going to use the Beat Buddy Mini for the 2 Tascam devices, and I'm going to use Superior Drummer 3 for the final example. So let's hear how they sound, and then we'll talk more about it. Okay, so, now we have an idea of what to expect. Now as far as, tracking individual tracks and, and things like that, if you're like me, you like to do things one at a time, so, the Tascam DR40 is probably not going to be your best bet because you pretty much have to record everything all at once. So, the way that I was running this was the drums into one side, the guitar into the other, and off we go. It does actually have a line out feature, so, a little 1/8 inch line out, which I was using for headphones. You could also use that for an external speaker of some type if you didn't want to go the headphone route, and be able to hear yourself that way. But you have to run something out of it in order to monitor somehow. There's actually a lot of options on this thing. There is, believe it or not, there is a mix down feature on here or not. And when I was using this to record all my videos, I actually never used that feature before because I hadn't learned what it was yet. But I just stumbled across it as I was using this video, and what you heard was the mix down of the track that I recorded. Of the three, this one took me the longest to record because, with my uncoordinated 2 left feet, also trying to control the drum track as I was playing guitar, there was plenty of mistakes to be made, but that is more on the operator than it is the device. Preamps in this thing are really, really good. I always got some, I felt anyway, some really, really good recordings on it. And I would probably be able to do a lot better with it now, knowing what I do, versus what I knew when I was using this thing pretty regularly 2 or 3 years ago. To go this route, you can go anywhere for, a handheld recorder that records really good audio. You can pay anywhere between $100 and about $300. You need that. You need a couple of cables and a pair of headphones, and really you're ready to go. And very, very affordable. This particular model here, when I bought it, I think cost $179. I want to say the price has since come down to about the $139, $149 range. So these are very, very affordable, and they do a great job. The Tascam DP24 is... I bought this one about a year ago, right at about a year ago, actually, and it has been very, very handy. That's actually what I'm using to record the dialogue with on throughout this entire video. It's really what I always use to record my dialogue with. But I do also use it to record, most of my playthrough demos as well when I'm demoing a pedal or something like that. And, I like it because it's, the recording portion of it. It's, with all the knobs and buttons and switches and levers and all that kind of stuff on there, it can be pretty intimidating looking at it right out of the box. But Tascam does provide a user manual that is actually very, very thorough, and I was up to speed on the basics of how to use it very, very quickly. And like I said, I've continued to use it to this day. It's, it records great. The preamps on it are fantastic, and I've gotten a lot of really, really good results out of it. So there are also some mixing and mastering options on there. So if you need to add compression to a track, if you need to add EQ or whatever, whatever it might be, it does have all of those capabilities to do so. Doing that one track at a time and then the overall master, I will admit it can be a little bit tedious going through all that. Really can be more than a little bit tedious. It is rather time consuming. So, when you sit down to do that, you want to make sure that you've got it set up at a nice, at a desk with a nice comfy chair, because, to get it right, you are probably going to be there for a little while. And if you want to hear the results that you don't want, look at some of my earliest mixes with, full track demos, because that's what I used when I had no idea what I was doing. A larger workstation recorder like this particular model, I believe, runs $499. Tascam also makes an even bigger 32-channel option that I believe is $599. So I do recommend a good set of studio monitors to go along with them, as you see me using in here, because they are going to allow you to hear most accurately what it is that you need to hear, particularly when it comes to the mixing and mastering process. And last but not least, we come to the most modern and probably the most popular way to record these days. The Focusrite 2i2 up until here just in the last week or two, this version is the second generation that is currently the best-selling USB audio interface on the market. And as you might be able to guess, it is primarily guitar players that buy this market, because we don't need a whole lot when it comes to interfaces. I need a couple of inputs, a couple of outputs. I'm going to record everything every track one at a time anyway. So to get expand out too much more than that is really overkill, although you certainly can do so. And there are tons of other other USB interfaces on the market that are very, very similar by other manufacturers, other brands that are also great quality. This particular one, what is now the Generation 3 that just came out here in the last week or two, as I mentioned, I believe now runs $159. So very, very affordable audio interface, and of course you can pay, for the Focusrite Scarlett stuff all the way up to the $549 range. I believe is the biggest one for the 18i20. And of course, then you get into the Scarletts, and you get into a lot higher end stuff from there. But even the more affordable, what I call consumer level stuff, is absolutely fantastic. And it's in the instance of the 2i2, it is so easy to use. Doesn't even come. It's USB powered. You plug it in and it just works. This setup here, I also have a pair of Kali Audio LP6 studio monitors, which for the money, these run $149 a piece. If you are looking to spend right around in that price range, I have no idea why you would even bother considering anything else out there in that price range, because these things, they're only $150 a piece, but they sound like they're $500 monitors. Check out some reviews on the Kali Audio LP6. If you're wanting to try to keep your budget down, this is the way to go. Also, of course, you are going to need a DAW. I recorded this particular portion of the video using Persona Studio One version 4, which is of all the current DAWs on the market today, Studio One 4 is regarded as probably the easiest to use and the most intuitive. I actually have found myself using Pro Tools more often than I have Studio One, which kind of surprised me. But because Pro Tools is not the most intuitive thing, but a little bit of training from somebody that was familiar with it on how to do a few things, and the rest of it has kind of become a little bit easier for me to use. And the same is true with really any of them. Studio One, I believe you can get the download copy or the box version, full version for $399. I think they also have a smaller artist version for $99, I believe, right around $100. That is quite a bit smaller, but it'll get you the basics. And versus Pro Tools, the full version of this one, of course, is this version is $599. That comes with all the stock plugins and all that kind of stuff. To do something similar to what I was doing here, I use Superior Drummer 3 for my virtual drums. That program runs about $399, and be warned, it takes up a lot of memory. TuneTrack does have a smaller version of it, called Easy Drummer, that runs about the $149 range if memory serves. And these are pretty common prices for what you can expect to pay for for a full digital audio workstation. Unless you decide to go the Reaper route. Reaper is actually a free download. I believe if you want the ads to stop, you have the option to pay a one-time fee of about $60, and it is a full functioning, full version DAW for life. And there are a lot of people, professionals included, that still use Reaper to this day. There you have it. I hope you found this video helpful and informative. I am not going to comment on the differences between the 3 different recordings because, quite honestly, at this point, I have not yet heard them back. So we are going to hear them back together. I do absolutely encourage you to leave your comments regarding that down below, because I would love to read them. Links to all of the gear that have been discussed and or used in this video will be down in the description as well. And last but not least, please hit the little red subscribe button down there and the bell right next to it. That way, make sure that you keep coming back here and we keep hanging out together. So, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.